Oh, for God's sake, if I drop another screw. This is the Emax tinyhawk2 freestyle. Now this is a great little beginner drone, only 2S. I've had this for the best part of a year now, and I still fly it today because I think it's such a fun little drone. Now, a couple of drawbacks with this, once you start going a little bit more into flying bigger, better things. The VTX isn't very powerful. I think it's 200 milliwatts max. Originally it comes with a double JST connector on, which isn't brilliant, so I've actually put an XT30 on this so I can run better 2S batteries. But the major problem with it for me was the range of it. Now it has a built-in D8 receiver. This is your antenna here, and I used to run out of signal and fail safe before I ever run out of video. So what I want to do in this video is solve that problem. I'm going to show you how to put Express ELRS onto this drone. So let's do it. Now originally what I wanted to use was the little receiver with the little ceramic antenna on, you know, to save a little bit of room and weight. Well, not much weight, but you know. But the only one I have spare is this little one with the little antenna on. You know, it still does the same job, just find a little way to mount the antenna on the quad itself. So I think what we'll do now, I'll put a little diagram up showing you the pin out of this, and we'll identify which pads we need to solder to get the receiver on it. So let's have a look at that. Now this is the underside of the board. The area I'm circling there, we'll zoom in that and have a look at that. Now unfortunately we can't use TX2 and RX2 because they're already used for the VTX. So what we're going to have to do is look at TX1 and RX1. Now if you look at this Express ELRS receiver here, what you'll see is the black wire at the bottom is your ground, the red wire is your 5 volts, your yellow wire is your TX, and your white wire is your RX. So when you come to solder these wires up, obviously TX on the receiver goes to RX on the board, and RX on the receiver goes to TX on the board. Well, now that we've identified the pads for the information to pass from the receiver to the board, we better find the 5 volts and ground pads to solder to. So let's have a look. Now it's not very clear by just looking at the board itself, but after looking online it turns out that this is the ground pad and this is a 5 volt pad, so I think we'll use these two to power the receiver. Now as I was soldering my receiver wires on there, one thing I did forget to mention was the old receiver antenna needs desoldering. If you look there, there's 2 spots there and there. All you do is melt the solder and that antenna should come straight off. Well, there we are, receiver's all wired in now. Ground and 5 volts on the 2 pads on the top. TX and RX wired up underneath. Don't forget TX to RX, RX to TX on the receiver. So I think what we'll do now, we'll get a battery, power it up, make sure the receiver's getting power. If everything's okay, we'll plug it into Betaflight and swap the settings around. Well, what we'll do now, we'll plug a little 2S battery in, make sure everything's alright. Now whenever you're doing some wiring on a quad and you're not sure about it, it's always a good idea to use a smoke stopper. Now these are quite handy little things. They should stop your board from frying if there's a short anywhere. I'll put a link down in the video description to where you can get one of these from. So let's plug it in, see what happens. Well, that's the noise I wanted to hear. Everything seems fine. You can see there the receiver's flashing, means it's getting power. So what I'll do now, I'll unplug it all and we'll plug it into Betaflight and set everything up in there. Right, so now we know that everything's okay with the receiver, it's all powered up and everything. What we have to do now is plug it into Betaflight. So you want a USB cable, plug it into your quad. There you go. And obviously you'll see when you say you set up there, your quad's at a funny angle, and that's because mine's still in pieces. You know, once you put it back together, you'll probably want to recalibrate your accelerometer to make sure that everything's nice and flat. So the first thing you want to do now is go to your ports tab, and then you see there on UART2, you can see at the bottom that's used by your VTX, which I said previously in the video. And we've soldered our receiver there to UART1. So what we want to do is click serial RX to 1 on UART1, then save and reboot. And then we're going to go to the configuration tab, and we're going to go down to receiver. So it's currently set to SPI. We're going to change that to serial based receiver, and it's already on Crossfire. Yeah, we want to select Crossfire if it's not already selected. This one just happened to be. Now I know this is obviously an Express ELRS receiver, but the Crossfire protocol is what the receiver uses to talk to the board. It doesn't use Crossfire over the air through the antenna. This is just communication between the board and the receiver. So save and reboot. Now another thing you might want to do, if you go to your OSD, I've already done this, is, oh no I haven't, sorry, I'm lying to you. Now Express ELRS, like Crossfire, instead of using your RSSI, what you do want to be using really is your link quality. So you want to be selecting that. I mean, your OSD is your own personal thing really, you know, but you really do need to be using link quality when you're using Crossfire or Express ELRS. There we go, that's it. Hit save. That's it, everything's done there. So disconnect our quad, unplug it. Everything should be set now, so all I've got to do now is put that mess back together. Well, now that we're more or less back together, let's plug a battery in, see if it binds. I'll turn the remote on.
Welcome to OpenTX. Disarmed. Flight mode angle.
Now we know there's no shorts in this because we use our smoke stopper when we tried it before. So let's plug it in. There you go, you can see the little bars on the remote there, that shows you that it's connected. So let's try our beeper.
Buzzer.
Let's try arming it.
Armed. Disarmed.
Well, I think that's a successful test. We'll get everything else back together now and have a good look. There you go, there she is. There's the antenna there. And if you look underneath, you can see the receiver tucked underneath the board. Well, there you go, that's all that done. Now, I'll post a few links in the video description for a few bits you might need for this. The smoke stopper and some ELRS receivers, stuff like that. Now, these links are affiliate links, and what that means is you click on that link, do your shopping, buy whatever you like. Doesn't have to be stuff for this, can be anything. Check out as normal, and I'll get a little commission. It's a really easy way to support the channel, doesn't cost you a thing. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please think about giving it a thumbs up and subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one.